Francisco de Borja Lasheras is from the European Council on Foreign Relations and joins us now live from Madrid. Francisco, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. Now, how do you think the European Union is going to respond to what has happened in Barcelona today?
Well, it depends on how we analyze what has happened in Barcelona today. The reading of the Catalan government, of course, is that this has been a repression of a legitimate vote, and the reading of the Spanish government is that they were enforcing a democratic constitutional order. You need to understand two things. One of them is that this referendum, so-called referendum, was pushed without the Catalan opposition, so there was no campaign, and that was a little bit. It's important for that to understand that this was never a real referendum, and it was never about a vote. It was about a COI, so that the secessionists will push the state against the wall in order to get the pictures that we've seen today. So it's a very dramatic day, of course, I mean, for many of us in Spain, but it's important to understand that rather than the people of Catalonia, we're talking about 35 or 40% of the population which wanted to push for succession regardless, and this is very tricky. Now, this will increase the divide within Catalonia, and of course, it's unclear what will happen in the next days ahead. The secessionists have announced that they would push for unilateral declaration of independence, and this doesn't muster that much support in Catalonia, so we will see.
I mean, just to reiterate that point, as you rightly mentioned, when this vote was passed by the Catalan government, it was done so without any opposition, who actually walked out of the vote when they decided to hold the referendum. So there was no campaign. But the actions of the Spanish central government and the use of those heavy-handed police tactics, surely that's just going to create a whole new bunch of secessionists.
Well, that's what we'll see. I mean, no doubt this is the picture they wanted to get. You need to know also that law enforcement authorities in Catalonia, that includes the Catalan police, were under the instructions of the High Court of Justice in Catalonia not to let this vote go ahead. And what the Catalan police did early in the morning was read the judicial instruction and then step back. And of course, that required for the other Spanish forces to step in, which is what the leaders of the Catalan government wanted, so that it will be looked as repressions, and that regard in terms of propaganda has been effective. I'm not sure, though, that this will strengthen secessionists per se. They're really mobilized, 35, 40%, but this also has fractured Catalonia. Many people want to vote in Catalonia, no doubt about that, but many people will not turn out, and we've seen rather, in addition to these images of violence, we've seen troubling images of group voting. There's no census, and really images that me, having been an electoral observer with the OSCE, is really beyond, underneath the democratic standards of voting a referendum. But of course, this is a huge political problem, and we will see how this affects, of course, Catalonia, but also the rest of Spain.
Well, you say the rest of Spain, but how do you think it could affect the rest of Europe? The Scottish government obviously are looking again to try and hold an independence referendum from the United Kingdom. There are other places that are bridling at the bit, as it were, to try and leave the EU. What do you think the impact of this vote could have on the European Union as a whole?
Well, like I said, this is really not a proper referendum, more of a plebiscite. But of course, the Catalan government will use it to push its international agenda. The question will be, one, what happens beginning tonight if they do push for unilateral declaration of independence, which half of Catalonia will not recognize, and that will see some other leaders sent to jail on provisions of our constitutional and laws that are used for coup d'etat. So we have a serious clash of democratic legitimacies here. The current majority in the Catalan parliament, which is not representative of a majority of votes, but a majority of seats, and the majority in the Spanish parliament, which so far opposes self-determination. So either we go for a proper constitutional reform, allowing for more home rule, or things will probably deteriorate. But I'm not sure that things are so bad now in Catalonia that more home rule will not satisfy the pro-independence bloc, and it will. So we have very tough days ahead. Just like you said, across Europe, there are other movements like that, and the question is whether they're representative of the whole of the region or whether they're representative of a very active political segment, which is the case now.
Absolutely. It does remain to be seen. Okay, Francesco de Borja Lasheras from the European Council on Foreign Relations, thank you for joining us.